battle over the Fed's independence actually heating up despite surprise passage last night in committee of an amendment by Congressman Ron Paul that would allow audits of the Fed's monetary policy. Two leading congressmen are vowing today to continue fighting. The Paul amendment passed out of committee with overwhelming support. It would allow the Government Accounting Office to audit the Fed's monetary policy. The Fed can now be audited for anything but monetary policy. Earlier this morning on Squawk Box, Republican Senator Judd Gregg said the Paul amendment, which is attached to the House's regulatory reform bill, is just populist anger. Ron Paul argues oversight and audits of the Fed's monetary policy long past due and would have helped avoid the credit bubble. With over 300 co-sponsors, it's almost certain his bill will pass the House with other regulatory reform legislation. And the question, Larry, is what happens in the Senate?
All right, Steve, very interesting. Stay with us. So, is the Ron Paul amendment a good idea or not? That is our call of the wild. Let's bring in Rick Santelli to have this discussion. Rick, you undoubtedly heard Steve LIESman's report. What is your thought?
Well, first of all, there was another sentence that Republican Judd Gregg said that I wrote down because I listened. He said, you know, their independence is important to protect the soundness of the dollar. Has he read any papers lately or looked at any charts? Come on! Amen, amen that this process is happening. They're not taking away their independence to make a decision on interest rates. We need to know where the money's going. I remember when Ben Bernanke faced committees of elected officials and said, we can't audit the Fed because then you might look unfavorably on some of the counterparties we deal with. That's like finding paraphernalia under your kid's bed.
Santelli,
and then not asking where he got it.
Do you really want one of these freshman congressmen from Timbuktu having a big say in Fed monetary policy?
That's
Do you
not
think
what this
that's
bill
the
says,
right
though.
thing?
I want them audited. The congressman you're talking about isn't going to be able to impact whether they raise or lower rates. We're just going to get a better glimpse as to who's involved with the Fed and any clarity. If it's 1/1,000,000th, it's better
Steve,
than
aren't we
nothing.
running the risk here that it gets way too political?
You ask a really good question, Trish, and I think what Rick ought to do is take another page from his well-worn book of unintended consequences, right?
No, I want an audit.
Work on this, Rick. Hang on a second, okay? Ron Paul essentially wants the Fed to be tighter, right? He thinks the Fed made a mistake by being too loose. Think about 2 days before the meeting where the Fed is about to raise interest rates, where a freshman senator, as Trish brings up, orders an audit of the Fed. Does that not have a chilling effect on what you think the Fed ought to do, which is raise interest rates? My thinking is that there will be no audits ordered when the Fed is lowering rates, Rick. All the audits will be ordered when the Fed is hiking rates.
No, wait a second.
You know, if pigs could fly, listen,
no,
this
Rick,
is
think about
the
that.
money.
Think about that.
The money.
No, Rick, read the bill. Read the bill, Rick.
The bill is 6
Read the bill.
Rick and Steve, in fairness, whatever your view is on the bill is a 6-month lag on the audit.
That's
it would
right.
not affect current meetings. Now, Steve LIESman,
no.
You have not addressed Rick Santelli's king dollar point. Don't Americans have a right to have a steady currency value in their wallets and pocketbooks?
You know, what you're talking about is a policy question. What is the route to the strongest dollar that we can have, and what should be the goal of the Federal Reserve and the Treasury relative to the dollar's value? The Federal Reserve will tell you they believe they are on the path to a stronger dollar, and they believe that the best way to do so is to create a stronger economy. Rick disagrees with that. Should that be something that Congress gets involved in, or have we somehow got to rejigger the Fed to get Rick's point of view more in there? I don't know, but I'm afraid I think this idea about the threatening aspect of it and the chilling aspect of it to monetary policymakers, I think there's a reasonable point there.
We need to protect the constitutional rights of the Federal Reserve. Oh, wait a minute.
I didn't say that, Rick.
In the Constitution.
Rick, I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say that, my friend.
Whatever happened to Vox Populi? Don't the people have a right to be represented through their congressmen insofar as regulating the value of the currency thereof, which is in the Constitution, Rick Santelli?
So let's put monetary policy. No, so Larry, let's put monetary policy over in Congress. That's the way to go. Is that what you're saying? Judd Gregg, a Republican senator, just said they can't handle fiscal policy.
And if this is
never better. Darkness is never better. Never, never, never.